Alrighty then. So here is attempt two. So we're in the same plane as last time, flying the exact same route. However, it's been set up to fly during daytime. So unlike the first video, we're starting with the aircraft completely shut off. So you're going to see it start up right from the beginning. So this is going to include the entire startup of the aircraft. So now we have our electronics on, and it looks like our route is preloaded into the flight plan, which is really nice. Looks promising. Yep. Okay. That's good news. So now, first thing we're going to do is we're going to contact our tower to get our flight clearance.
Edmonton ground, ICE 9112 IFR to Victoria, ready to copy.
ICE 9112 is cleared to Victoria Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 30, climb and maintain 9,000 feet. Departure frequency is 134.7 squawk 1565.
ICE 9112 cleared to Victoria Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 30, climb and maintain 9,000 feet. Departure on 134.7 squawk 1565.
ICE 9112 raise back direct. Contact ground on 121.7. Good day.
Alright, so we have our IFR clearance approval. So they've told us we're going to take off from runway 30, and then we're going to fly to 9,000 feet. So looking at our map here, let's get the range to work. Basically, it looks like runway 30 is actually going to be this runway right next to us here. So we're going to go down this way to the left here and take off in this direction. So that's good. So we're pretty well set up there. Next step is to get our weather and know what we're flying off into.
Edmonton Airport information, Echo 19000 Zulu. White tree 26 at 20. Visibility greater than 20 miles. Sky condition clear. Temperature -22. 2.10. QNH 30.35. ILS runway 30 in use. Landing and departing runway 30. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact you have Echo. Edmonton Airport information, Echo 19000 Zulu. White tree 26 at 20.
Alright, so that's pretty straightforward. Basically, what that's telling us, our weather's -22. We've got some winds, nothing to be too surprised about though. Basically exactly what we're expecting. It's going to be a nice easy day. So we are cleared to file. So next step is to turn our engines. So we're going to add our fuel. We're going to add our fuel pump so it can actually start processing fuel. So fuel is flowing, fuel is pumping, we're going to start the engine. And as we start the engine, you'll see that the engine is starting to spool up here. And the other thing we'll do is just hold out. We're going to turn our anti-ices on for a little bit. And we're going to turn up the beacon on so people know that it's something's happening on our plane. The engine shows positive rate. So we're going to go a little bit further. So it's not quite letting us populate like it should be. It's a little bit frustrating. Should let us input all the information we want to input here. Frustrating. The other thing we can do to help it out. All right, engine 2. Okay, good. So now we're going to turn on engine left side. And you'll see the left side is also starting to cool up. We're going to give that a minute to finish cooling up. So, for whatever reason, it's not letting us input our flight level, which is annoying. Either way, we're supposed to be able to put more information in, so it tells us when to take off at. So I'm going to put my flaps in takeoff position about 15%. Basically what this tells us is B1, that's when we're going to roll off. So as we're taking off, once we hit 150 knots, we should be able to start lifting off. Once we hit about 180, 190 knots, so we should be able to retract both flaps in our landing gear. Our engines are up to and equal. They're good. So we're pretty well ready to go. So without further ado, we'll turn on the rest of our lights. Everything else is ready to go. So now what we're going to do is request our taxi.
Edmonton ground, ICE 9112 tree with Echo ready to taxi IFR.
ICE 9112 tree taxi to and hold short of runway 30 using taxiway Alpha. Contact tower on 118.3 when ready.
Taxi to and hold short runway 30 via taxiway Alpha ICE 9112 tree.
So with the amount of traffic here, I'm just going to switch to the external view to make sure I don't crash it in. And there's no one used that kind of generation. Sure enough, glad I did. There's not a ton of room in the parking spot at all. So anyway, we are clear to taxi, so we're going to push that. Do our best to taxi. Thinking where I parked is meant for small airplanes, not large airplanes, and that size available. Alright. We've got our pushback here, so we're going to push back to the cockpit. Place to be when flying here. I don't see any planes coming from the right, so I think we're going to be okay.
Edmonton Airport information, Echo 1900 Zulu. White tree 26 at 20. Visibility.
Alright, I'll leave you to it, and we'll check back in once we're at our hold short. Alright, so we're approaching our hold short at the runway here. As you can see on the map, there is a plane on the radar. So we will wait to see whether we're going to have to wait for it to land or if we have immediate access to the runway. Either way, we're coming up, so we're pretty well at our runway point. We're going to hold short here and wait for information. While I'm here, I'm also going to check my takeoff speed. So 152, 183. Alright, and we're going to request takeoff clearance.
Edmonton Tower Ice 9112 tree ready for IFR departure runway tree 0.
Ice 9112 tree QNH tree 0.35 wind tree 26 at 20. Traffic is generic, off final. Cleared for takeoff runway tree 0.
Cleared for takeoff runway tree 0 Ice 9112 tree.
Okay, so that's actually an interesting takeoff clearance. So what they told me is traffic is generic on final, which means there is an airplane coming into land. However, they think I have time to get onto the runway and take off before that plane lands, which means that I should be safe. However, I don't really have time to dilly-daddle. So basically, I'm just gonna get lined up and then hit the gas. There's no playing around today. So we're lined up on the runway. We're gonna straighten our wheels out here. And we're off. We don't want to get rear-ended by an airplane on final. So we're taking off. I should have my flaps down earlier. So I'm gonna hit 150, begin to roll, and once we hit 160, I can retract my flaps. 40, 45, 50, 50, 160. Alright, we're gone. Not happy about that. Right, we're at 190, so we can retract flaps. And landing gear can come up. And there we are, we're in the air.
Ice 9112 tree, contact Edmonton Center on 134.7.
There's our handoff to Edmonton Center.
Going to 134.7 Ice 9112 tree. Edmonton Center Ice 9112 tree is passing 3,400 feet, climbing 9,000 feet.
Ice 9112 tree, Edmonton Center QNH tree 0.35. Continue as planned.
Alright, that's my authorization to basically begin flying to my nav point. So at this point, we'll switch it over to the autopilot, make sure it's on flight change mode, so it's taking us to 9,000 feet at 250. We're going to increase our speed to match close to where we're at. You don't want the plane slowing down a whole lot at the moment. And then what we're going to do is we're going to tell it to start flying our routes. As you see, we're still on a positive rate at about 200 feet, banking into the turn. I don't have a map handy that's showing us our route right now, and I'd like to see if we get a visual on that pretty quick. So yeah, it looks like it's turning us on towards the direction of our route. And
Ice 9112 tree, climb and maintain flight level 190.
Alright, we've been approved to increase our flight to 19,000.
Climb and maintain flight level 190 Ice 9112 tree.
We're still in flight change mode, still positive rate, still climbing, still at 300 knots. This is what I was hoping to get to this before things change. So I actually want to hit Andy and try and get it to fly direct to Andy at this point, rather than connecting with. Oh, it's gonna let me. I think it's too far committed to following the route. So anyway, we will line up with the route, and yeah, it's gonna take a stab. And I'd like to be able to go direct to Andy, and I might have to play around with that a little bit. There we go. All right. So I've updated. It's taking us direct to Andy. With a bit of luck. So Andy's here. So what we've done is, instead of basically flying back to the airport to pick up this leg here, I've told the plane, forget about flying over to here. Just make your best course over to this waypoint over here. Quick check-in, 300 knots at 10,000 feet, still at a positive climb rate at 800 feet per minute. Little slow, but who cares? Alright, at this point we can slack off on the lights we have going and take a minute to admire the beautiful Edmonton scenery. If I had to take a guess here, I'd say this is probably Sylvan Lake. Nope. No, I'm wrong. This is the lake directly west of Edmonton, and I cannot remember its name. But it's a little bit further north than Sylvan Lake. There is a scout camp on it, from what I remember. Positive. Our time's a little slow. Not thrilled about that. Probably something to do with our speed. So we're gonna crank down our speed, see if it lets up on. Give us a little bit more. Increasing a little bit. If I let it down a little bit more, we climb a little faster. The problem is you can only climb uphill so fast, right? So the slower you go, the faster you can climb. It becomes a balancing act between climbing fast enough that you don't slow down and stall. It's one of those fun little games that everyone loves. Either way, it seems to be holding out, and air traffic control's not yelling at me for climbing too slowly. So we're gonna let the airplane just do what it wants, really. We're just gonna keep on cruising. And we're pretty well, we're cruising. Our flaps are up, our landing gear is up, we're flying. So really, unlike last time, unless I see something really pretty out the window, I'm gonna let you cruise and sleep in the back, and then I'll wake you up as we hit the approach, and hopefully we don't crash again. But stay tuned, and I'll wake you up if I see anything interesting. Hello, and welcome back.
91123 descent and maintain 13,000 feet. Keep speed not above 250 knots.
Descend and maintain 13,000 feet. Keep speed not above 250 knots. Size 9112 tree.
Okay, so welcome back. So we've got, we're on our approach, so we're descending into BC. We've got our directions to descend to 13,000 feet. Maintain and basically slowing our aircraft down to 250 knots. The other thing I wanted to show you is we're just about to cross cloud layer as we descend. And the cool thing, this is always one of my favorites. Like, yeah, you look on and the clouds look like a whole new world, and then you eventually descend through the cloud layer and see a whole new world transition from the new Earth, as it were. This is something a little slowly to what I'd like, so I'm off speed-based descent at
Ice 91123. Please expedite your descent 13,000
and
feet.
as you can hear, air traffic control is also annoyed with how slow I'm descending. So I'm gonna descend using vertical speed control, basically descending at 2,200 feet per minute, which means my entire descent will take about 10 minutes, so a little too long for me. So let's go at 3,000. It's a pretty steep descent, it's pretty uncomfortable. That being said, I'm a cargo flight, so I do not care. But we'll kind of watch the clouds now as we descend through the cloud layer.
Helijet 706, you are 28 miles southwest. Descend and maintain 10,000 feet. Expect vectors, visual runway, 25 water approach. Descend and maintain 10,000 feet. Expect vectors, visual runway, 25 water approach. Helijet 706.
So looking at the current configuration, it is giving us a slightly different approach to the airport this time. You remember the last time we came into it, then kind of scooped over this way and in this direction. We're taking on less of a steep curve to op stop and then down and in. That being said, we'll wait till we get our approach clearance to get a better idea of how we're approaching. Alright, it looks like we're not going to clear the cloud layer yet, so I will catch up with you as we are authorized to the next step.
Set localizer runway 27 approach by the Yankee Juliet transition. Cleared to Yankee Juliet.
Maintain present heading at altitude. Expect localizer runway 27 approach via Yankee Juliet transition. Cleared to Yankee Juliet ICE 9112 tree.
Alright, so you've heard we are authorized to descend 3,500 feet. Again, leaving it up to our speed descent is a little slow, so we're going to increase that. We're also going to input our... Oh, I've already armed the brakes. I did that a little earlier. So basically, if you remember, we were authorized for runway 27 on the localizer approach using transition Yankee Juliet, selected, and so we'll execute that. The other thing is we are authorized direct to Yankee Juliet. So if I can find a way, I actually want us to go to it. The computer's one step ahead of me. It's already navigating direct to Yankee Juliet. Hopefully, I need a little bit of luck. It's actually taking me where I want to go, but we'll find out. Get the detail on those clouds. Learning my lessons from last time, I'm definitely not in a rush to keep my teeth up. So it looks like Yankee Juliet might just be this approach point here, but what tries putting more faith into the computer than it should be. I'm clear to Yankee Juliet, it's going to Yankee Juliet, and then once we get to Yankee Juliet, we will adjust ourselves on the load collapse.
591123, please expedite your descent, 3,500 feet.
Alright, so it's going to be a pretty fast approach. We've got a long way to go real quick. He said we're doing a very aggressive and yep, there's the turn, which means it's taking us on this route here to land at the airport. Obviously, my concern being it looks like I'm going to be able to send fast enough to use the runway on this go round. But well, for instance, happens, so maybe what we'll do is we'll try more into laps. That should help us send a little bit faster. So we're currently going at 600 knots. So quite aggressive on flaps. And here we go for the cloud layer. I went too aggressive on flaps. We're over. Basically stuck with this for a while. Unfortunately, air traffic control gave us a pretty aggressive approach, so we're coming in pretty aggressive. And yeah, we've caught up a little bit now. So we had to reduce our flaps so we don't rip them off the airplane. We're still on a throttle control, we're on a swing control, we'll level out at 3,500. I think what I should do, it's still following the turn when it's saying, I'm going to try activating a localized, but activating the approach this time. I don't know if it will line me up. I sure hope it does. Anyway, we're pretty close to a good approach speed. We flipped over from navigation to localizer, trying to
Helijet 706, please expedite your climb 10,000 feet.
See, our visibility is not great today with the fog. This is Victoria Island. We are in the right route. We are very left of the runway. Everything's showing up a good approach. And we're not showing up on the localizer yet. We're going to decrease our airspeed down to about 175. Again, learning from our mistakes. As you can see, we are getting pretty close to stall speed, but we've got a comfortable margin there to play with. And we are getting close to arrival here. So we're following that curve really nicely. There's our runway. It looks high. We don't have landing clearance yet, so we're probably going to overfly this runway. There's our airport. Again, we don't have clearance to land, so we're just going to overfly it. So at this point, we're pretty much stuck entering a traffic pattern. What I'm probably more likely to do here is keep flying our approach. Yeah, I'm going to override the pellet to take the heading.
Ice 9112 tree descent and maintain 3,200 feet. Ice 9112 tree, please acknowledge.
Descend and maintain 3,200 feet, ice 9112 tree.
Pasco 108 your tree, 4 miles south. Climb and maintain 3,300 feet. Expect ILS runway 26 left approach via safe transition. Cleared to saved.
Climb and maintain 10,000 feet. Expect ILS runway 26 left approach via safe transition. Cleared to save Pasco 108.
Eva tree 6 contact Seattle Center on 125.1. Good day. Pasco 108 contact departure on 133.85. Good day. 125.1 for Eva tree 6.
133.85 for Pasco 108.
So what we're doing right now is we're just flying a holding pattern. So basically, as you can see, here's our runway here. So what we're going to do is we're going to fly out here. We intercept this glide slope and approach this direction. So everything at the moment is setting up for that. So if you look look at our primary flight display, we're coming up on the glide slope here. Telling me that so that's fine. We're going to end up overshooting it for a little bit. So what I'm doing is I'm just flying the headings manually. So basically, I know I'm parallel with the runway off vector. So what I'm going to do is overfly it a little bit. We're going to turn left 90 degrees. Once we complete that turn, I'll reacquire the localizer, and the plane will start to reline up.
59112 contact Seattle Center on 125.1. Good day.
Quality.
125.1 ICE 9112 tree. Seattle Center ICE 9112 tree, 3,200 feet.
ICE 9112 tree Seattle Center QNH tree 0.12 continue as planned.
They told us our barometers were
Generic 9 Bravo
0.12.
Golf, you are tree 4 miles southeast.
So again, it's really important to make sure the barometer matches ground control, so that what they're telling, what the computer thinks the altitude is the true altitude, is otherwise, if we don't calibrate it, then the computer will think ground is
Climb and maintain
a couple of
3,200 feet.
several hundred
Expect
feet
ILS
out of
runway
that.
08 right approach
Yeah,
via
we're
Tappy
very
transition.
close.
Clear to Tappy, generic 9 Bravo Golf.
Basically, I've got my heading plan dialed in at heading due north. All I'm waiting to do is just overfly it enough that I can start that turn. I can see my glide slope's really high, so I've got plenty of room to re-intercept that glide slope.
Generic 2 Golf, Sierra contact
My
with the
flaps
approach on
are at
118.2.
nice and
Good
low,
day.
my airspeed's nice and low, so I shoot for the speed as you want to approach. And actually, what we can do is check our approach.
118.2 for
So
generic.
at
Golf
about
Sierra.
17 degrees flat, our approach is 174. So basically what we're going to do when we're on final, we're our flat 20, make sure 174 knot, we have a good approach. Alright, as you see, we're coming up on that little knot there, so we're going to execute this turn here. And go to the mountain way. We're looking good. Remember the landing gear's not down yet. We're still going to lower the landing gear. We'll worry about that a little closer to approach.
Generic 9 Bravo Golf, contact Vancouver approach on 120.8. Good day.
I'm not loving these clouds. They're going to make for, again, a tricky approach. Always pretty interesting.
120.8, generic 9 Bravo Golf.
Alright, so now we're going to tell it to start intercepting that localizer. So our runway is over that way somewhere. So as we approach Victoria here, the temperature is 3 degrees. There is a west wind of 9 knots, and visibility is about 4 kilometers. Let's see, the localizer is showing the runway a little bit over. That's okay, because it will line itself up, and as you see, it is lining itself up. We're still high at the glide slope, but we haven't been given permission to land yet. We can't tell the plane to start following that glide slope. All we can really do is hope to get information to land here shortly. Concern is we don't see the runway yet. And there it is through the clouds. bit out yet. I don't have a visual on the runway just yet.
Ice 9112 tree, you are 14 miles east of Victoria. Contact tower on 119.7 when inbound.
Alright, we are being handed off to the tower.
Tower on 119.7 ice 9112 tree. Tower ice 9112 tree, 13 miles east inbound, localizer runway 27
so we're
approach.
getting pretty close to the wire for land.
Ice 9112 tree tower. QNH tree 0.12 wind 114 at 7. Cleared localizer runway 27 approach.
Alright, and there it is. We are cleared to land
Cleared
on the
localizer
localizer.
runway 27 approach ice 9112 tree.
So again, this is a perfect day for IFR instrument flight rating flying, because of the cloud cover, it's making it really hard to see the runway. So right now we're still high to glide slope, which is, or glide, we're still low to glide slope, which is fine, because as we continue coming, we'll match up to it, and we'll start lining up with it. My flaps are at 20. My speed should be around 174. It's automatically flying right around that. We're clear to land, so good a time as any to put our landing gear down. And as you can see, we are starting to descend towards the glide slope. So, speed is good, our slope is good. What we are missing is our light. Lights are on.
2500.
I don't see a runway. Yeah? Who sees the runway? Playing the runway game. So as before, we're letting the plane fly itself in. When we get a little closer, I'll take it off autopilot. And kind of get this thing stopped.
Ice 9112 tree with com cleared to land runway 27.
Alright, so that's our final approval. That's our decision point. Basically, there's
Cleared to land
no
runway
return.
27 ice 9112 tree.
Up until this point, we could have always accelerated, pulled back, flown up back into pattern. But at this point, we're pretty well committed to, or air traffic control committed us to landing on the runway. And I can see the runway up ahead here. Everything's looking good on that glide slope. Coming in dark last night, I had no idea it was right on the edge of the water. It makes a little bit more sense now as to why we're landing. So again, double checking everything. Our flaps are at 20, so at 20 degrees flaps, we should be coming in at 74 knots. Plane's not too heavy, so I'm okay with that speed. Fingers crossed. Our landing gear is down, so everything, our glide slope is good. So I don't know if this is going to do anything for us. Nope, not much. So we're just going to put that away. Distraction. Alright, here we are. So, again, we're coming in nicely on the glide slope there. Just to get speed bridge we're on. That's fine to this point.
400. 300. 200. 100. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
A hard landing.
Ice 9112 tree contact ground on 121.9er.
Ooh, once again, we significantly overshot the runway.
121.9er, ice 9112 tree.
Good. I'm gonna get us out of the signal and I'll catch up to you when I get back to the airport. Alright, so we're back. I overshot the runway. I got myself out. I'm returning to the taxiway. One thing it occurs to me to check is I didn't actually check to see if the airport in Victoria is even large enough for a 787 to land on. So I might be overshooting the runway simply because the runway is just way too small to be able to land a 787 on. Kind of like trying to fit a truck into parking that is only designed to put like a little mini cooper in. It's just way too big. You're never gonna fit it. You force it, it's not gonna end well. So anyway, here we are. I think because of the way I landed, it's not giving me proper takeoff, taxi options to parking. That being said, I'm just gonna find myself a little spot to park here, and then we'll basically shut down the engine. I'm gonna park pretty well close to here. We'll park up here. We'll stop. Set our parking brake. Parking brake set. And now we can start to shut down the engine. That's literally as easy as cutting off our fuel. And there you have it. So this is telling me our summary. So departed 7 p.m., arrived 9 p.m., time of flight an hour and a half, daytime flying, and then this is all of my experience to date. So as we continue to shut down the engine, so we'll shut down the engine here. We'll see what services were available at ground. They have none. Alright. So, our engines are shut down. We can cut off our fuel. Basically, just reverse order from how we turned on the plane. Turn off our APU. We can make sure our generators are off since, well, it's the power. And basically, last glimpse before we kill everything. We don't need all our lights on anymore. We'll kill those just as a matter of good practice. Toggle them all. Seatbelts are off. This is private jet, and then we'll turn off our battery. Means everything goes dark, and this is the exact same way the plane was when we first got in it. Thanks for joining me on our flight from Edmonton to Victoria. Have a great day.